Welcome to the RIOT podcast. Remember, next couple weeks, a little different.
Just slightly different. You'll get less length in the podcast, but still good quality content.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's still stuff here for you every single day, and we would just ask that you would consider keeping us here every single day by supporting during the Fall Fundraiser. And so you can do that now by going to RadioU.com and clicking on Donate.
Yes.
Put in the comments section, I listen to the podcast.
Yep, and if you enjoy our podcast, that's what makes it possible. Apologies for hearing a lot more of the fundraiser stuff in with this, but we want to make sure you guys still get something this week, but we got to get RadioU funded so the RIOT and the RIOT podcast can still be here.
Today we talk about the dream of a one-day fundraiser.
Big dream.
It's a big dream, Nikki.
With a big soundtrack.
We also talk about opioids and what it's like to get surgery, which doesn't sound very funny, but personal experience.
It's important to still talk about.
It is still important to talk about. We're also getting into what I played over the weekend and what else?
Anything else?
We've talked so much. We've talked so much. The lawn.
That's it. Get off my lawn. And maybe what might be an option if people are on your lawn, if you have one. And
this should not be an option.
This is what someone did.
This should not be an option.
Well, no one has a yard. I mean, not that many people have lawns if you're in an apartment or something. So they're not going to listen to us. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, enjoy this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And hopefully, thank you so much for supporting.
It is the RIOT.
I'm not so much mad about what they say. I'm mad that they think any of us want to hear it. It's the worst of the RIOT on RadioU.
It is the RIOT fundraiser kicking off soon, and I'm going to leave it up to you whether you want to get in right now at RadioU.com/donate.
As we officially start our fall fundraiser today.
Seems like a great idea to me. I don't know. You know what else seems like a great idea? Getting a tattoo.
Yeah, you never gotten one. I wish you would. That would be a fundraiser right there.
But I finally figured out what I'm going to get
if
for
you
my
do
tattoo.
Get one, what are you going to get?
Well, I didn't know that this was a thing, but now that I know it's a thing, I feel like I'd be super comfortable, like being a part of this. Do you know what Pyrex is?
The dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So apparently, it's becoming very popular to get a vintage Pyrex bowl or plate.
Yeah.
Take it into your local tattoo artist.
The lines.
And have them tattoo the Pyrex art onto your body.
That's really weird. I'm going to have to search.
So, like, here, I'll send it to you right now. Here's a girl who, she's got a coffee cup there. And she has gotten the design that's on that, China coffee cup, whatever, around her leg. So it's almost like, how you get, what do they call it, like the thorns or whatever, like that goes all the way around your arm. Yeah, okay. So it'd be something like that, but instead,
oh, weird.
It's a Pyrex design.
That is so weird.
I think it really is kind of weird.
And it's not necessarily like some people went all the way and like had a Pyrex bowl like tattooed with the design on it. Others, you might already have a sleeve and you're just adding the graphic design from the bowl, if that makes sense. Some of them are pretty cool looking.
I mean,
very odd, but cool looking.
It's intricate, and it actually, I'll have to say, I feel like it looks a little cooler on this one person's arm than it does on the bowl itself.
It works.
It's a little
there.
weird, but whatever. But yeah, I think I've finally done it. I found the design that I want to get.
Well, I didn't think you would ever say that. I honestly didn't think that would be the tattoo style that you would go for.
Yeah, it's good because I can do this, whereas before I had spent a lot of time thinking about maybe a Marvin the Martian, and then I was like, no, that's stupid. And then I was like, wait, I'll get
a minute.
I'll get a Marvel superhero, and I was like, no, that's not a good idea. And then I was like, I'll get this Justice League logo from the hit movie. No, that's not it.
You seem like bad choice unless you have one.
What about an Xbox logo, huh, guys? Right?
What would you get if you got a tattoo? Would you go with a graphic design or would you go with a logo?
Probably. I would. If I was going to get a tattoo, it'd be something like really stinking small.
Sure. Well, that look is in.
And I'll just be honest with you. It'd have to be a tattoo that has something to do with the only thing in my life I haven't changed my mind on ever, and that would be Jesus. So it would end up being like a little fish,
a little something,
or like a cross, or I don't know. So it would have to be an infinity symbol.
No, some people are like, here's 4 dots. It doesn't have any meaning, but here it is. It's very simple. You could do that.
Are we that bored that I'm just like, hey, I need to mark myself up somehow. Here's this.
Yes,
here.
some people do.
This is meaningless, but I went with that.
No, you could choose.
Because isn't life meaningless?
No, you could choose the number of dots and like, this is for my father and my mother. And you put the dots.
What are you, the Wallet Langley? I don't tell people who it is, but each star represents someone that died in my service.
And it's personal to you. The dots are personal. These are all ideas.
It's thoughts. And I'm sorry if I'm thinking about it too hard, but you're wanting it to be permanently on my body.
Well, feel free to send your tattoo suggestions. You can email us right at RadioU.com. You can text 877-2RadioU. And if we get fully funded by the end of the week, we're going to the tattoo studio together. What?
We're not getting a tattoo. We're just going.
No, you can just get a dot.
I'm not getting
just
a dot.
People are like, is that a mole or is that a dot? Just a dot.
Why don't you come over here and rub it? You tell me.
Just a small, tiny dot. And you can give now.
Well, if you guys didn't want to support Radio U before.
Oh, you're supporting now.
You sure do now.
If you're looking for a peaceful start to your morning, you should look somewhere else. It's The Riot on Radio U.
So we all know that the opioid epidemic is real.
It's intense.
It is real. I have seen it affect people up close. It's rough. At Harvard University in Boston, scientists there have been doing research studies, basically trying to figure out, have we really been giving these out like candy? Should we reduce? How do we curb this, and where is it at? And one of the things they have kind of zeroed in on is they say elective surgeries, and they pick out rhinoplasties. They say that they're on the rise. Oh. And they also say that what ends up happening is for a lot of surgeries like that, which are a more minor surgery, they end up over-prescribing opioids.
Sure.
So they say that, hey, when you get done with your surgery, they've given you too many.
And then you're hooked.
And then that's what ends up happening. Listen, I've had a septoplasty and my wisdom teeth pulled, and I will tell you right now, it was like pulling teeth, getting pain medicine for those procedures. It's not that they wouldn't give it to me.
Sure.
But my wisdom teeth was the worst.
But that's because you weren't a kid when you had your wisdom teeth.
It was the worst.
If you're still, I don't know, if you're listening and you're still at home and under your parents' health insurance, pull your wisdom teeth.
Yeah, you totally should.
To get them out as early as possible, because then even if you hit your 20s, you can't recover the same way, and so they won't give you the same stuff.
Yeah, but they'll tell you will. You're like, you'll be fine, whatever.
Oh, you're not going to be fine.
I wasn't fine for probably 2 weeks.
It's a lot harder than it needs to be.
And so I was in crazy pain for days and days.
And they wouldn't give you any more?
No. But it was one of those things where they basically gave me enough for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I started being like, well, I'm not going to take any more. So I started taking Tylenol instead. That wouldn't even put a dent.
Really?
It was just worthless. And so I ended up having to have a family member go to the doctor's office. I ended up getting my prescription refilled twice because they really wouldn't give you very much. And the doctor he actually said, he was like, this is procedure, but
you're the exception.
He's like, we had to actually keep you under 3 separate times, and we've never done that before. That's how hard it was to get your teeth out. So, we'll keep giving you these, but you do have to drive up here, and they have to hand you the prescription.
Gotcha.
And so, I did that and had it refilled twice. And, I did the same thing with my septoplasty, where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to take a bunch of pain medication, whatever. And
then you're like, pain medicine.
Man, day 3, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. Nope.
Yeah, you need it.
No. But I mean, I did pain medication for that one. I did it for 7 days.
I think it just depends, because when I fractured my wrist, candy. It really was like candy. They were like, here, you want more?
Just have as much as you want?
Yeah. They're like, you could have as many, and it was up to you. And if you leave it up to somebody,
not necessarily a good idea.
To see how much, that's when it can really become a problem.
Yeah. It wasn't I don't know. They tell you, you can take this much or whatever, but I don't know how they've handled it for different people, but I'll tell you, in the last, what has it been, 2 years, they are not screwing around.
Well, it's not worth it if you think you might have a problem to overuse to start the problem.
Yeah.
It's always better, even if you're in a little pain, than the pain of trying to stop taking them. So that is an interesting, I would have never thought, elective surgery. is that a cause of people getting, stuck on stuff?
They even say that with some people, they're getting elective surgery just to get prescriptions.
To get the prescriptions. Woo, so that's a tough one.
That they're actually issuing guidelines saying like, hey, basically telling doctors you need to do what they did to me, which wasn't wrong. It was a little inconvenient, but it wasn't wrong. And it was like, hey, for more pain medication, you have to come and get it. And like they won't send it to the pharmacy. And the pharmacy, when you go pick it up, they're like,
they look you up and down.
Like, what do you think you're doing? And I'm like, I can't talk.
I really need this.
I want more.
It's hard because then it makes it difficult. If you really did need something, it makes you feel bad, but you're feeling bad and you do need something.
I don't know. Personally, I'm willing to undergo the inconvenience if that's what it takes to
keep people from getting stuck on them.
Yes, because much better to prevent addiction than have to treat addiction.
True.
So if we can prevent it, great. And let's make sure we're treating it.
Recycling paper is like planting a tree. Recycling the riot is like burning down the rainforest.
We ain't gonna be in no fire, not today.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Yeah, it was a weekend of streaming for me, Nikki. I streamed some Spider-Man.
Yes.
Which you can actually, if you want to see the archive, do you know the name of the game is technically Marvel's Spider-Man?
Yeah.
That's some kind of a licensing thing. So Marvel's Spider-Man, streamed that over the weekend. So you can see that both on Facebook and on our YouTube channel.
That's at RadioU Riot, including also last Friday, if you missed, Mike Main stopped by. And we did a Fruit Loops Donuts Riot food fight from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Yeah. And then also the game that I have had for about a week that I have not been allowed to talk about.
Can you mention it?
I can. I've been playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That was one that we got in advance, and of course you have to agree to abide by their embargo, not talk about this, not do that.
Last week when you were talking about it, you couldn't say who it was.
I could not.
But I kept getting a couple of guys who were trying to call in and guess.
I know what it is.
And it was like, you guessed wrong. They were guessing something else.
Yeah, well, it was just, to me, I understand they've got their own playbook they're running, but it seems dumb that at the very least
Can't even say the title.
Like, hey, I'm playing this game. And like, no, don't say that. Don't say you're doing that. It's just like, what?
Not until today.
Well, it's funny. I don't know that we'll do a riot control like this week for it, but I do think I'll probably stream it at some point if I can find a section that has enough not language in it that I can actually stream it. Because let me tell you something. Laura's buddy that she starts the game off with, he's got a potty mouth, Nikki.
Can you turn is there a setting you can turn him off? Or
no, you can only turn him up.
The game people were so convinced you'd love him in his language that you must want him louder.
So I gotta see about that. But yeah, we're gonna be streaming that. I'll either be streaming today or tomorrow. It depends on, first off,
the fundraiser.
We're kind of doing a fundraiser.
So today's a busy day.
Yeah, and especially for the first day. But today is the day that I'm allowed to start streaming it. So maybe today or tomorrow. But there will still be some game streaming that's going to happen during the fundraiser, because every fundraiser, both the spring and the fall fundraiser, there are always a bunch of things that come out somehow in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about how they schedule and we schedule, but it always ends up happening that like something new and hot comes out right around that time. So we'll definitely do something with that.
So what's the Tomb Raider called again?
It's called Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I keep hearing Mordor. Every time
that's
you
because
say
there
that,
was Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, so I keep thinking you're saying that. It's like, no, it's Tomb Raider.
It's too many good things at once, man. Like you got that Tomb Raider thing floating out there.
And you've Marvel's Spider-Man.
Marvel's Spider-Man out there. They're both lookers too. Like just such good looking games. It's ridiculous. Tomb Raider might be one of the best. No, I can say it's one of the best, if it's not the best looking game I've ever seen. Uncharted 4 up to this point might actually be the best, but man, this Tomb Raider game really gives it a run for its money. So even if you don't like the game, a couple screenshots, man, it's crazy looking, right? And then you've got, Nikki, just a couple weeks till Forza Horizon 4.
And remember, too, we're almost Toby's birthday. Woo! Yay! Not this Friday, but next Friday.
But you guys know I'm contractually obligated to say, instead of giving me something for my birthday, just support Radio U.
Which you can do through RadioU.com as we're ready to start our fall fundraiser. Today's the first day.
Having a bad day? Blame the riot. Everyone else does. And in fairness, it's probably their fault. Radio U.
Oh, actually, I have encountered. Have you ever had a get off my lawn moment?
Like say it like an old person yells at you?
No. Where you have an old person yell at you to get off your lawn.
Like literally, or
Yes.
just an old person yell at you for something?
No. Like off my lawn.
No, I've not had that.
I've had that moment.
Well, yeah, you go running in the neighborhood.
Well, it wasn't even that.
Or when you
I
were
was
a
just,
kid?
I was a something, and I was there seeing a friend. It was late at night, and we were just standing outside, and he came out with a shotgun and started yelling at us. Now, keep in mind, you're talking about we might have been 6 inches onto his property. Like, we were just out at the street.
Yeah.
And he, as far as he's concerned, we were on his property.
Whoa.
And we had better get off his property.
So your neighbor, you knew your friend was one of his neighbors or something?
Yes,
and
I was
did
at
they
a
say
friend's
he was
house.
always like that?
He's like, yeah, that guy's crazy. And I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, he brought a gun outside because my tennis shoe was on his lawn just a little bit.
Well, now you know to get off the lawn.
Well, dude, it's real out there. In Henrico County, Virginia, we've got a guy here. His name is Brian, and he says that, like, in front, he doesn't have any kids in school, but he says in front of his house is where the bus stop is. And he said that he got tired of hearing people cursing, fighting, and here was the last straw. Littering.
Oh, on his yard?
He said that at the bus stop,
The kids waiting
to get on the bus every single day would litter in his yard. So
I guess it would be frustrating if you didn't have kids and you had to experience that every day.
I mean, I get the idea. Hey, they're yelling and fighting. It's like, you know what? You live in a neighborhood, you're out of luck. Like that. That's just the price of living with neighbors. Like, neighbors make noise, get over it. But the idea of people, like, littering on your lawn every day,
that could get old.
I mean,
unless you put a trash can right there.
Well, Nikki, there are 2 ways to solve a problem.
So I think that's one way.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. There are 3 ways to solve a problem. The third one is to put up an electric fence.
Is that what he did?
He did.
I don't think you're supposed to. I don't think you're allowed. Well, I don't know what his laws are.
He is allowed to, and he did build it.
An electric fence?
Yeah, the city ended up coming out, and they were like, he didn't do like a hardcore electric fence. He put up a fence that was basically like a metal fence and put a low voltage on it. And so not enough. It was like one of those things where it wouldn't be enough to like hurt you, but it would be enough to irritate you. And
you'd always hear that low humming, the hum from the electric going through it.
And so the county had to get involved, and they basically came out like, hey, this here is technically county land, which is why we're allowed to put a bus stop here.
County law.
So he had to move it back, I think, like 6 inches or something. But
it's still there.
He said that once the parents found out what he did, and this is where it gets interesting to me, apparently the parents didn't get super upset, but the littering stopped. So rather than coming after him, no more litter.
Okay, well, it kind of worked then.
Yeah. So
maybe not the best approach, but it sometimes you feel like you have to be desperate and do something.
Yeah. Well, I am zeroed in on this story because during the fundraiser, like Hudson and Josh are going to be in and stuff, and sometimes they leave trash. And so I'm thinking about just a low voltage electric fence, just kind of right in this area here.
Well, since this is our area though too, we have to bring that fence in and out, I feel like. So when we're done, we'll put the fence up.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
It's not for us.
It's not all the time.
Because obviously I can litter however much I want. This is mine.
This is my yard.
I do what I want.
You're listening to the worst of the riot.
Today sucks.
Radio U.
So, Nikki, what did you do over the weekend to prepare yourself?
I try to get everything done. So, like laundry and all, like what we consider to be the chores portion of our life, just so that this week I don't have to do much of that.
I definitely had to do laundry.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys determine when you need to do laundry, but here's how I do. I have my regular underwear, and then I have the emergency pair.
Are you into the emergency pairs?
I was on Friday.
So you have to do laundry.
I just consider it like a trace around or a marker where you're like, oh. So I really should have done laundry like last Thursday, but over the weekend, I don't have to wear anything, so I just walk around and eventually you go ahead and...
You don't just go out and buy a bag, because that's how guys' underwear comes in a bag.
I just wouldn't recommend sitting on my couch if you come over, that's all. So
well, now you're fine.
Do with it what you will, but it's fine. But I'm good. Like, I did laundry and, played some games, read a little bit, did some soul searching, took some long walks.
Well, you kind of have to just take a breather because this week's going to be crazy. Like, it's a very busy week. It's very important to, if you're going to donate, to think about, maybe doing that earlier in the week so that the craziness doesn't have to go on for so long. But yes, it's been a busy weekend, and it'll be a busy week.
Hey, you guys, you're going to hear us talk about it, but Nikki and I have a dream. And that dream is that the RadioU Fall Fundraiser. I almost feel
you need patriotic music to go with that. Like, this is a real dream. We shouldn't just push it aside. No, it's something else. It's the other one.
The thing is, you're looking for the stars.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
that one.
You're looking for the battle hymn of the Republic.
That's what we need when you're telling people about your dream.
So you're looking for this.
Yes.
Nikki and I have a dream.
Step up.
We have a dream of RadioU being fully funded. And not fully funded after we've asked and we've asked and asked and asked.
No.
Nikki and I have a dream of a RadioU that's fully funded after one ask. We just say, hey, RadioU needs your support because we're listener-funded, commercial-free, and then all of the sudden, the phone company comes out and they're like, I don't know what you guys did, but you broke the internet and you broke the phones.
Everyone gave
at once, and the fundraiser only lasted one day.
Again,
that's
not at the
vision.
End, but today could be the day.
There are people, there are radio stations that we know of that raised roughly $1 bajillion in 2 days. Wouldn't it be great if RadioU could get fully funded in 2 days? But it's not just going to happen. It only happens with you.
See, that was perfect music. That's how you let people know that our dream. You're going to bookmark that?
This. Yeah, let's get that into place. We're going to change the button color.
Make sure we know that that's an important dream that we have for this week because we're ready to start. We're ready to kick off our fall fundraiser.
I tried to change the button. There it is.
Yay,
it's red now.
We're ready.
We're red-E, according to that.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh, no! I missed it! Do it again!
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.